Welcome back to the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, and if you love college football, you are definitely in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss one moment of the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. Folks, we have a special guest today from Couz's Corner, Justin Couz Walker. We're actually going to get into a little bit of an argument, I think, here, because we kind of were yesterday on Twitter. But welcome to the show, Couz. How's it going?
Hey, good, Jason. Thanks for having me on, brother.
Oh, man, no problem at all.
I'm digging that intro, man. I was kind of jamming out here, bobbing my head.
Bobbing your head. I did see that. Yeah, did you see my guy Darian there at the end catching that ball with one
I did.
hand?
Great hands, man. Great
This
catch.
guy should be. He was second team All-State today. He in Texas 6A, and still doesn't have a Division I scholarship offer.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with this picture. Anyway, we were talking a little bit yesterday, mostly in Twitter, and I knew I was going to pick a fight with this, and it worked. But talking about, well, you had done a video actually the other night,
Right.
and talking about the Dennis Dodd story, that you would have the diluted early exits for Texas and Oklahoma could help repay Big 12 members that agreed to diluted revenue upon expansion. Now, so let's kind of get into what your argument is on this, because essentially we're talking about, obviously, there was $16 million per Legacy 8 school and that goes to pay for the new schools coming into the conference.
Correct. Come in early. Yes.
Correct. Coming in early, getting in a year early. And then, of course, there's arguments. Now, I haven't seen any of this coming from anybody at Oklahoma. And I know that I do know what they're probably talking about as far as your not playing these guys or whatever. And they're probably complaining about revenue share is what I'm guessing. Having to share with teams that they're not in the conference with. Is that what you feel like that's probably about?
Who's complaining about revenue share?
Well, I keep hearing that Oklahoma and Texas are complaining.
The way if I read the article right, and maybe I'm totally misinterpreting what Dennis Dodd said, but if I'm reading the article right, Texas and Oklahoma aren't having to pay any of this money. It's all coming out of the pockets of the Legacy 8. So I'm not sure why Texas and Oklahoma fans. That's one of the things I was confused about in the argument, is why Texas and Oklahoma fans keep saying we shouldn't be paying for this. You're not. We are. It's the other 8 members that are paying for it, not Oklahoma and Texas. At least that's the way I read the article anyway.
Well, and I guess here's where the argument started. And because, essentially, and what the argument started with me and you was that when we started talking to it, you were saying that you did not want to see them paying a smaller portion of the buyout.
Right.
Because of the fact, because it basically you would be able to pay yourself back, or all the schools are going to pay themselves back with that with that buyout money. Correct. Right. Now, my argument to that is that Oklahoma and Texas had no intentions of leaving. Was the thing that they said they were going to stick it out until 2025. The league meetings roll around this year, and you have probably led by Okie Light, I would say, a big push to go ahead and get them out. They want them out now or after the season anyway, the 23 season. So the push starts, and I mean, it had been. When you remember back to the first part of the year when Yormark went and talked to Oklahoma and Texas, and the decision was made that they were going to stay. They were just going to stick it out until 25. That was going to be good. And if you look at that, right now it's what, $30 million a year per team until the new contract kicks in or whatever it is, like 30-ish,
something like
30, 35, something like that. Okay. The buyout for the 1 year would be $84 million each, right?
Right.
So rather than making $30 million, they would have to lose 84. Now, I got a problem with that in view of the fact that they were going to stick it out. And then the rest of the Legacy 8, who are also the people that decided to pay this extra cash to go to bring these guys in early. Why should we have to do that? Why should as we and I'm not part of the Oklahoma administration, but why
I
should
get it.
Oklahoma and Texas have to pay, and even a full share of it if at that, when they had no plans of leaving, and the decision had been made, and a couple of weeks later at the meetings, that's when the rest of the conference decided, "Hey, we don't want them here anymore."
Yeah. From everything I've listened to several different podcasts, read some things online, and I haven't seen where it's just the Legacy 8 that wants them leaving early. I've heard that they want to leave early too, if they can come to an agreement. Now it's all conjecture, it's all assumptions.
Mhm.
I'm not obviously I have no connections at any of the schools that can tell me straight up the deal or what
Well,
they want to do.
it was announced that Oklahoma and Texas were gonna just stay until 2025 at the start of the season.
Yeah, but I think that was what they had to say legally, right? I mean, they can't come out and say, "Well, we're going to try to leave early. Screw these people." I don't. I'm sure their attorneys are not going to want them saying
No,
that.
I mean,
I
they
would
agreed,
imagine.
they had an agreement with Brett Yormark. They sat down with him
Hmm.
and have the discussions or whatever, and they were like, "No, we'll just stay." And that was the end of it.
Even with the four
2
new teams coming in, they wanted
Correct.
to stay.
Correct. Yes. So that was already gonna happen. Then they go to the league meetings in Vegas, and obviously Oklahoma and Texas had to recuse at one point of this meeting.
Hmm.
They kicked them out, and the rest of them were saying, "Hey, we want them out. We need to get them out of here." And negotiated or whatever. So that's where the 60% that Dennis Dodd is talking about, because he was talking about having a split where
Hmm.
they would pay 60 instead of 100% of that 84,
Yeah,
which puts you right at about what, 48 million.
yeah. And I
Okay.
have no issue with them paying us less than the full 168, as long as it's enough for us to recoup the money we're paying the new schools.
But
That's all I'm
that's where
worried
I'm
about.
like, well, why in the hell should they have to pay for your investment?
Because you're the ones leaving the conference. Why should we be stuck? You see what I'm saying? Why?
But nobody made you do that. Nobody made you have them come in. And here's the deal, as well as I do, that by bringing them in early,
Mhm,
before to get those guys locked in before the ESPN deal got
mhm.
renegotiated, you're actually going to make money on that. As if you're the Big 12, you're making money on that. You're not losing anything. That's an invest. That's why I keep calling it an investment. It's
Yeah, I
not
got
actually. It's not losing money. You're investing money for the greater good of the conference.
the greater good was solidifying the league so that we could get that extended media deal. That was
Correct.
which we are making money on, but we're not making money until 2025.
Right.
We're not doing the money I'm talking about is what we're losing in 2023 and 2024.
Welcome to actually having to foot the bill for something around here.
What do you Hey, man, come on now. Give me we could have the conference would have expanded in 2016 had Oklahoma and Texas not blocked it. They were out taking,
That is not what happened, bro.
yes, that's
That is
every
not what happened. No way. No way.
oh,
No
yeah.
way. No
It's
way.
all
Uh-uh.
dude, it's
No. No. No.
everywhere. It's not a
Dude, that
secret.
wow. You believe that garbage?
Houston and Texas has never wanted Houston in the league ever. So
Houston's, yeah, that's for
they hate
sure.
each other's guts. And
Oh, they
Houston
do. They don't
and
want to play them.
and I'm not
No, that's
saying that
right.
Houston's the only school that had a shot at getting in 2016, but I will say they were probably near the top of the list.
I'll tell you
So
what, they would have been happy with it if you're Baylor and freaking TCU, because and that's not what it, but it was not. Hey, you know what, that goes back to Bob Bowsby never getting anything done ever.
no,
They
I can't argue. I can't argue. I'm not I'm not here to debate Bob Bowlesby's competence because I don't
No, because
you
there
know.
is none. There is none, and you know that. And here's the thing: he screwed. When he could have made the league whole. He could have figured it out to make it. There was a lot of things, and you could throw Texas on a lot of this stuff, and I'm okay with that. And this move to the SEC, we're partners in that, but that Oklahoma and Texas don't give a
Right.
crap about each other.
Yeah.
And so let's just be real about that. But here's the deal: when it comes to what happened to this conference, it was bleeding forever. You lost Nebraska, you lost Colorado,
Mhm.
then you turn around and you lose Missouri, You lose A&M, and he's not even replacing any of these teams.
And all of that was because of Texas.
That was not all because of Texas.
Yes, it was. The
A
Longhorn
lot of it
Network
was.
deal.
A lot of it had to do with the fact that the Longhorn Network was making more money, and so A&M split. And then I guess that's probably why Nebraska did too. In any event,
Yeah, Texas has been, and I don't even know if Oklahoma would be included in this piece of the conversation, but Texas
they're
has
not.
basically, the tail has been wagging the dog in this
Oh
conference
yeah.
for way too long.
Well, I can tell you, it's what's funny
And Texas
about
is
the
the
whole
tail.
move is that shit's gonna stop.
Oh, absolutely it will. And I can't wait. I hope Texas finishes dead last in the SEC every freaking year. They are
Yeah,
the
they
most
probably
arrogant.
won't, but
They're the most arrogant
yeah.
program I can think of, man.
Oh, there's no doubt, and
But
especially to not win anything ever. It's been
yeah, I mean,
15
it's
years
just
since they've even been relevant.
Big 12 bent over backwards for Texas, which they should not have done. Look,
Right.
hindsight's 2020, obviously, and I know at the time they were doing it because Texas was the quote unquote cash cow, and they didn't want to lose them. I get it, but come on, man, you see what happened? It did
But
nothing.
it's not the quote unquote cash cow. The truth of it is 50% of the revenue
Yeah,
is generated by Oklahoma and Texas.
I agree with that. That's fact. There's no
And
that's
so
not debatable.
that's the whole thing. That's why I said welcome to having to pay the bill, because now look, I'm not saying that everything went down. Bowsby, he allowed this to go that way. Even after you can't even tell me that he didn't see this coming, first and foremost, because a few years before that, Texas was trying to load up Oklahoma State, Oklahoma,
Because of Pac-12,
and go to the
wasn't it?
Pac-12.
Yeah,
Right.
I remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
were working on the Pac-12, right?
Yeah, if he didn't see it coming, he was uh,
He had his head up
oblivious.
his ass, and he
Yes.
always did have it. He
Yeah.
always did. And that's if you didn't see that coming and realize, and now all this time, I can tell you that Joe C and even the guys at Texas were doing the same thing, telling him, look, you need to make this change and this change and this change. They hated, first off, Oklahoma and Texas can't stand playing the noon game. They hate it. They don't like it at all.
They did it, and they did it almost every week.
Every freaking week. And not only did it never like happen, the ESPN, the weeks that they're on ESPN, it's nighttime because they had brains enough to make that happen. Now I get it that's Fox's niche is the big noon, right?
Yeah, I mean that was part of the agreement with the conference.
Right.
So what were they supposed to do? I mean, they can't tell Fox how to schedule their
No,
games.
well, you can. You listen when you're the one when those two teams are generating the money, then you can say, "Hey, you do have a nighttime game on and they want to play in it." And they could have look, they could have worked on it. And it didn't have to be all the time. I'm not saying that Oklahoma and then needed to play every game at night. I'm saying some of them,
No, I agree with that.
some of them.
Yeah.
But and it's not even the only thing. There's plenty of stuff. But the whole deal, like I guarantee you, when the conference got left out of the freaking playoff because they didn't have a freaking title game, and then he still doesn't
that
even
was on Bob Bowlesby, absolutely,
absolutely.
100%.
But it completely the league itself was crumbling like that. I've said this a bunch of times, man. If it was not for the fact that Texas has been completely irrelevant for 12, 13 years, then Oklahoma would have never won that many in a row. 6 in a row? No way. No way that happens. And a lot of the years they weren't good. They shouldn't have been there. You know what I mean? Getting into the playoff 4 times, at least twice, they had no business.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. It's hard for me to have sympathy for you guys playing all these new games, though, to be honest, because I mean, I understand if I was in your seat, I'd probably be upset too. But you got to look at it. I'm a West Virginia fan. We have to travel 1,000 miles for every freaking away game.
I don't ever complain about you guys. I get how you go.
So we have a hard time having any sympathy for people. Because, you know what I'm saying?
But you did choose to join this conference, though.
We
right?
did, and that's why we don't complain. At least I don't complain.
Right.
I personally don't complain. We have some fans that do. We have some fans that would love to get out of this conference. I'm not one of them necessarily because I think now is there a part of me that would love to get back in get an ACC and play Pitt and Virginia Tech and all these rivals again? Absolutely, because I'm a fan of my team and the sport, and those are great, fantastic games that the fan base gets excited about.
Sure.
But at the same time, there's a lot of positives about being in the Big 12. We have a lot in common with the existing 8 members. Kansas State, Iowa State, we're small rural schools
Yeah, I get that.
with good culture, all that. We're a good fit in that regard.
Oh no, and I
It's
think
just
that I've
the
always said
travel
West
gets
Virginia's
brutal.
got one of the best cultures as far as like I went to a game a long time ago whenever I was in the military out that way, and it was
Okay.
real cool, super
So
cool
you've been
out
to
there.
Mountaineer Field then?
I
Awesome.
have, man. It was real nice. It was
Thank
real cool, man. And it was and actually it wasn't even an Oklahoma game. I went with some buddies that were in the military from there,
Cool.
and they were like, "We're going home. We're gonna go catch a game. You want to go?" Yeah, let's go. So I
Why not,
forget.
right?
I think they played. I want to say it was Virginia Tech. It was a great game. Great game.
What,
This is
do you
back
remember what year it was?
in the '90s, man, late
Okay.
'90s.
Big
So
East days.
yeah, so it was a lot of fun, man. We had a good time.
Yeah.
So and here's the thing. I mean, it's again, my only thing is that you can't expect Texas and Oklahoma to pay a full 84 million when they were going to make 30 million and then go in 25. You can't push them out and at the same time say give us your money to get out, and because we need you to pay us back for our
Yeah.
investment. And that was my argument for it. Now, what Corey was saying in there, that it'd be the ultimate middle finger that
Yeah.
we're gonna go and get tons of cash anyways from the SEC and the recruiting boost. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can be less petty about it, but I'm not petty. I'm not less petty about it. I don't
Right.
want to be less petty about it. I think
Right.
that it's ridiculous, and part of it is I got to tell you, I feel like most of this crap comes from Okie Light. That they just want to bitch and complain, and I think all this scheduled crap right now
Mhm.
is all coming from they don't want to play Oklahoma again. They want to be done with it.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I'm not. I have always, up until recently, I have been a huge advocate of Mike Gundy, but I'm starting to change my opinion, to be honest.
That dude's a piece of work,
Some of the
man.
things I've seen and heard him do and say lately got me scratching my head a little bit.
With the
But
reporter at the
oh
bowl
yeah,
game,
I mean, he was just a complete ass to that guy, man. No ifs,
unbelievable.
ands, or buts about it.
He didn't have anything else. I mean, yeah, the guy, that was a fair. I've been a reporter for a long time. That was a absolutely fair question when you're not going to talk to him for a month, at
Well,
least.
yeah. Was the timing good though? Well, should he have asked it at that time?
Yeah. Hey, listen, if you know that you're not, I mean, listen, they lost 5 out of their last 6 games. It's the question's going to be asked.
Right.
Yeah. Are you, I mean, and I don't know, they ended up losing coaches just by sake of it's so rotten in that program. I was on with Cody on Locked On, and even he's going after him, which surprises me.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, it's a bad deal. But and that's the whole thing is that he has been bitching and complaining because and it's easy to know. I mean, he's 3-15, 3-16 now
Hmm.
against Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Can't get it done no matter how good they are. And then when he did the one time when Lincoln threw the game, because he was going to get screwed on his recruiting, uh, then he goes and blows it against Baylor after they smoked him during the regular season. You get a
Yeah.
chance to go to the playoff and you gag it up, just like
Yeah.
they're just mediocre. He doesn't care about recruiting. I mean, look, when you're number 67, you're going to tell me that you can't recruit? Get out of here. Get out of here. I mean, that's the way I've always looked at it is, okay, some of these schools have an opportunity to take a step forward in this conference right now. And this should be
Absolutely.
the time that you do it,
Yeah.
and it should be Oklahoma State because they were the strength.
It should
They
be.
have since hemorrhaged every
Mhm.
big time player they had. I can't imagine them winning a game in the conference this year. Maybe they will, but maybe I don't see it, man.
Okay. They have Alan Bowman coming in. He's going to save the day.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure he will. Yeah.
Can you
he,
believe?
he
Can you
didn't
believe
do
the
anything in
nonsense?
Michigan. He didn't do anything at
Yeah.
Tech.
Can you believe the nonsense? I was being sarcastic, obviously, but
Yeah,
can you
I knew
believe the
you were.
nonsense that they did not take that Spencer Sanders wanted to leave the portal and come back, and they said no?
I don't believe it.
Do you think that actually? Because I heard it on a podcast the other day, and it was
I've
a
heard it a
media.
bunch. I've heard it. Cody said it, but
I think there's truth to it, man.
maybe there is. But
If they did
you
that,
know
that
why?
is
Maybe because
absolutely
he doesn't
insane.
care. It just gives him. Look, he's got a revolving 5-year contract. A revolving 5-year contract is almost $8 million a year. Every year it renews for 5 more. So right now they owe him $40 freaking million, and by not firing him this year after this dumpster fire all went down, they owe him 40 again next year.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? I mean, I think that you could probably get a dude to come in for about $4 million that would out recruit this cat.
I don't know, man. It's hard. I mean, he's winning. I know he's not won a championship, but he has had a winning record for the past 19, 18 year, whatever it is.
Yeah, because they play. Did you ever look at their schedule? Because they pad the crap out of it.
Their non-con schedule.
Their non-con schedule is complete garbage. And that's why they don't want to play Oklahoma, because they don't want to screw with that.
Yeah.
The one chance that they have to get better is by playing a team like that every year. And it's not going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt you. You know, as far as if you go and you win your games and win that conference, losing to an SEC team that's big brother, what are they going to care?
Yeah.
You know, is it really going to hurt you? Especially now that they've just bumped it up to 12 teams starting in 24. You know, it's the weak sauce move. To me, if you are Oklahoma State, you got a chance to step up in the league right now. And I don't care if they play Oklahoma or not. I mean, I feel like they should, but it's whatever. It's their money. They don't have to win. That's fine.
Yeah, to me, they're making a mistake not playing them.
I think it's a big mistake competitive-wise, because now what do you have? You know what I mean? It's like that's a real test every year.
I mean, the one thing we can say is, you know, we can get pissed off with you guys all we want to, and, you know, piss and moan about the buyout and all that stuff. And we can debate all that, whether we agree or disagree. But the one thing we cannot deny is Oklahoma and Texas brought eyeballs to television screens. You brought more revenue, and you bring money to the programs that play you.
Look, and I don't look down the nose at all the rest of them like the way some of those guys do. That's not me. I mean, I like it that Oklahoma is I grew up watching them. I love Oklahoma. It wasn't fun this year. It wasn't fun losing to you guys like that. Right. It wasn't. But we see, you know, I've been getting into this whole deal with whether Levy was going or not. I mean, that did big yesterday. But I really have gotten to the point, and I even hate to say stuff like this, but I feel like it's just a ploy by Nick Saban, because he remembers the last time he got his ass kicked in a freaking playoff game, and it was by Brent Venables' defense. And if you can implode that offense and run off a couple of more 5-stars the year before they come into the SEC, that's not going to hurt anybody's feelings there, or certainly not his. And I think Nick Saban is completely paranoid anyway, since all the NIL stuff and everything, all that. But of course, the outlaw thinks I'm full of crap, but you know, it is what it is. No, in the end, look, I just feel like, to me, can they afford to do it? Sure. Should they have to? No, because of the fact that, it's not as much about Texas as it is about, hey, we said we would stay, you know?
Yeah.
But the plan was to stay. And so if you are wanting to push us out, which is fine, you know, then do that. But not at full price. They're not going to do full price. And if you lose $3 million, I heard you say you losing $3 million. I don't want to hear that crap. $3 million?
Based on the 60% number that was in his article, yeah.
So whoop-de-doo.
That's a lot. Dude, we couldn't even afford to fire our coach last year for $16 million. $3 million is a lot of money.
Yeah, but a $60 million buyout,
not
a $16 million
we can't afford $3.5 million.
Nobody buys out somebody for $16 million. They're still
Nebraska
ripping
does
up
it all the time.
Nebraska
Kansas
just
has
did
done
it. Auburn just did it, and they're still the laughing stock. They just had to do it twice.
Yeah,
twice.
West Virginia can't. Well, either they either can't or won't do that. It may be a little of both, but
yeah. And I guess what you were saying the other night on your show was that you felt like it was because he wanted to really kind of check out the lay of the land before he made a decision like that. And generally speaking, when a new AD comes in, they just chop heads, you know? So
yeah, he said, assuming he's telling the truth, that he didn't really want to do that because he doesn't feel like it's right to do that without doing an actual evaluation. Because he didn't know anything about
what a guy.
Because he didn't know anything about the program. I mean, he had never even been to West Virginia. He didn't even, he was actually
Who is
hired.
This guy?
He Ren Baker. He was the AD before he ever stepped foot on campus.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. He'd already taken
Well,
the
it
job.
surprises me because generally speaking, these guys just come in and start lopping heads off,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Which, there's a most fans think that Gordon Gee the president had already made the decision not to fire him, and he's just trying to,
That's possible too.
and he doesn't want to throw him under the bus, in these interviews. But
Yeah, your first year on the job, you're gonna start talking crap. You could
about your
I guess you
president,
could do the whole Ed Reed thing.
yeah, I guess.
That worked out.
Yeah,
What a
really.
deal with that, man.
Yeah.
The poor guys. I don't know.
But
My only thing is, and I get it. I mean, I get that. You like to squeeze that last drop or two out of there, but
hey, I just want what's best for my team, man. That's all.
But
That's it.
$3 million, bro. I couldn't believe you actually said we can't afford that. I was like, you're in the Big 12, dude. Come on. You're in the
Well,
Big 12.
yeah,
You're better off
it
than
is
you
what
would
it
be
is.
in the Pac-12
That's true, and the ACC probably.
or the ACC. Hey, man, I'll tell you what, the ACC is in trouble. I think.
I think so too.
I think so. I think the only way out. Well, and then the only way that they get out of that, like if somebody has to like breach the contract and pay the big buyout, and then the rest of them can. Is that right?
My understanding, and I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but what I've heard and read is the only way that contract can be breached, because it's pretty ironclad, is if at least half the league decides to leave.
Oh,
It would
half
it,
the league.
it would
Holy
take eight. It
crap.
would take 8 teams, or
Man, I thought the
more
Big
than half.
12's I thought the Big
Yeah.
12's deal was bad coming all the way from
Well,
2012,
well,
but
the ACC actually
wow.
used the Big 12's current contract to form their new contract,
Oh,
as far as their bylaws and everything.
wow,
And
man.
the Big 12, from what I've heard, the Big 12 is pretty ironclad. That's why Texas and Oklahoma.
Oh, it's been said. It was said by a bunch of especially these money dudes that are out there, that they're like, that's never going to happen. They're not leaving. Not unless they're going to pay it.
Right.
They're not going to pay it.
Well, my understanding is even if they leave in
Too expensive.
2025, they still have to pay the $84 million. My understanding is, regardless when you leave, it's a flat $84 million buyout whenever you leave, regardless of when.
Who? Oklahoma and Texas?
Yeah, anybody in the Big 12 that leaves has to pay that buyout.
I don't think that's
It's the equivalent of 2 years of TV revenue, is my understanding. I could be wrong on that.
I'm not.
But that's
maybe
what I
the
heard and read.
2025 deal is what you're thinking. Okay. All right, bud. Well, we I don't know if we got anything really solved or anything, but
No, we weren't here to solve it. We're not going to solve the world's problems in a day, Jason.
That's
what are you
for
talking about?
sure. Not in this house.
No.
But hey, Couz, thanks a lot for coming on. Guys,
Absolutely.
You can reach him and see him on Twitter at COUZ206. Don't forget to watch him at Couz's Corner on YouTube as well. We'll see you on the next one, bud.
Thank you, Jason. Have a good one.